shift the learning from in this WhatsApp group away from tefillah for a little bit so that we can focus on the story of the Megillah, on the grade of Megillas Esther, and hopefully as we approach Purim, come with an even greater understanding of the Purim story. And we'll basically take about 2 weeks, about a Perek a day, to really understand the Megillah. And let's begin with the first Perek. The first Perek of the Megillah, of course, is about the party that Achashverosh is throwing. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, number one, why do we need these details of the story? More importantly, why is Achashverosh making this party? And the background to Megillas Esther is an important background. And that is, we know that already the Jews should have gone back to Israel. The 70 years were over. They should have returned. Koresh allows them to return. And yet the Jews do not go back. They say, not only are we fine in exile, it's good. Life in exile seems to be pretty good. They're happy, they're comfortable. And Ezra returns with only a few people. Not a big contingency goes back to the land of Israel. Only a handful. And eventually we have Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, whose job it was to revive this spirit. But most of the Jews remain in Persia. It's at that moment that Achashverosh, the Gemara tells us, makes this party. Because not only is he making this party to consolidate his power, he's celebrating the fact that the Jews have chosen Shushan, that the Jews have chosen to remain in exile, that they are physically assimilated, really for the first time in Jewish history, and have decided, even though there's a go-ahead, they're staying back in Persia. To that end, Achashverosh at his party takes out a Vekelim Shonim, of course, not only because he defeated the Jews physically, but he defeated the Jews spiritually. He has their Kalim. He has their Kalim. He says they're not going back. And in fact, the Gemara tells us that the Jews are punished minen misudas Achashverosh, not only because they went, but they enjoyed it. They also felt that they were so comfortable and so happy and so at peace with where they were, that there was no need to go back to the great Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, Achashverosh makes this party. And as we'll see throughout the Megillah, the progression of the Jewish people to go from one who felt they were comfortable in exile to learning, to the sakva efer of Mordechai, to the crying out, to the tefillos, that their identity was really at the core of what was wrong. But there's another theme as well that runs to the first Perek of the Megillah. The first is to laying the groundwork of the Jewish people's status, that they were assimilated, that they weren't really ready to go back, as we'll see that everybody is bowing down to Haman. And the other theme that we see is the fact that Hashem is already laying the plan for Esther to save the day. The Vilna Gaon explains that Achashverosh had a massive, massive empire. Could it be, according to one opinion, the Gemara, basically the world. And he wants to build a throne like Shlomo HaMelech. He wants to build a massive throne. The problem is the only place that he can build it, because of the metropolis, and who knows the building codes, and he's got to get permits, it has to be in Shushan. Could have been anywhere else. And had it not been in Shushan, there would never have been a Mordechai. He would never have overheard Big Son and Seresh, and the story would have obviously gone very differently. One theme we keep saying throughout the Megillah is, it happens to be, and that is a theme already happening here. And in fact, as the first Perek ends, when Vashti refuses to come out, and Achashverosh says to his advisors, what do we do? And they say, we don't know, this never happened before. And they make a new rule in Shushan. Shushan ran by rules. Everything was the protocols of Shushan. And now there's a new rule in Shushan. The new rule in Shushan is that the king can exile, can fire, so to speak, the queen, but the king can also hire and